on to the next player. It's Kenneth Walker out of Michigan State. Now, I think I'm just going to say off the bat that I think probably most analysts, not fantasy, but just straight, talent evaluators would believe that Kenneth Walker, even though we're talking about him behind Breece Hall, is probably the best pure rusher in this year's class. 5'9", 211 pounds, 21 years old. He'll be 22 in October. Would you agree with that before we dig in here?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm a big Breece Hall fan, but it was so impressive watching him kind of burst onto the scene. He was sort of a change of pace guy at Wake Forest. They sent him up to Michigan State. It wasn't like this ballyhooed transfer move that, the Spartans fans thought was going to deliver him a championship. And all of a sudden, this guy, I think in his second game broke the school record for longest run. And you saw you talked about Hall's patience and instincts. I think Walker's got those as well. I mean, he really lets his blocks develop. He can run with physicality when it's called for. And when it's, it's time for him to put his foot in the ground and drive downhill, he can do that too and make, 15-yard runs consistently. So, yeah, I think from a scheme versatility standpoint, you could use him in a man scheme. You could use him in a zone scheme. He breaks tackles no matter where you have running on the field. So, I think one of the phrases I used in my scouting report was like, he makes lemonade out of lemons a lot, where looks like he's sort of trapped in the backfield and he can either burst through a tackle attempt to gain, get back to the line of scrimmage and save 2 or 3 yards, or you can just sort of, cut to the edge and just get enough to make a gain out of it. And you saw that a lot where plays that should have been -3 or -4 ended up being -1 or no gain. And those are big plays for an NFL team. They matter. They matter to fantasy too.
We all love an underdog. I mean, this kid's story is so easy to root for. I mean, he also 3-star recruit out of Arlington High School, which is in Tennessee, despite the fact that he managed over 3,500 yards and 41 touchdowns in high school. So, great career. Yeah. Only received 3 offers from FBS programs. You mentioned it, went to Wake Forest, was like, I don't really think this is doing it for me. And then at Michigan State, in his first carry as a Spartan, he rips off a 75-yard touchdown, and everyone in East Lansing, their heads exploded. Oh my gosh. If you watch that, just that opening of the game, the stands are out of control. And then, he went on to find the end zone 18 more times throughout 2021. He won the Doak Walker and the Walter Camp Player of the Year awards. What an incredible visual is. What an incredible example, I guess I should say, of giving a player a shot and him, no pun intended, running with it.
Yeah. I mean, he is the epitome of the transfer portal in my mind, right? I mean, there's some people who poo-poo that stuff, or, guys who switch teams multiple times. And I get that. I mean, I understand that point of it, but he got he was in an offense at Wake Forest that didn't suit his skills. This is a team that was going to be throwing the football 50 times a game. And, he's not really a good fit in that type of system. Where better to go than Mel Tucker and Michigan State? It was the perfect transfer in a lot of ways and the perfect usage of that player. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's so great this time of year when I can write, all right, this guy was a 5-star. This was a 4-star. This was top 100. We had a few 0-star recruits come through as first-round prospects. It's crazy this year. So there's a good mix of talent.
Give me the first word that came to your mind when you saw him play.
Yeah, compact. He's got this sort of bowling ball-like frame, which I don't know if that makes. I mean, I think when you first start watching him, you think of him as kind of a bigger guy, but he's got that 5'9" height, and he's 210 or whatever he is. He's sort of built more like Mark Ingram a little bit. And that was one of my comps. But I mean, style wise, I don't think he necessarily runs like Ingram. But, it's really almost surprising when you notice he's not a real big guy, but he's got power in his game. He is was the best tackle breaker in college football last year. So, don't underestimate that part of his game. It's compact is actually a compliment in this case.
I also just think he's controlled chaos. He's a little frenzied, but not frenetic necessarily. Yep. It would be frenetic if it wasn't so damn effective, to your point, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's just able between and sometimes it could be a little much. I think the
Sure.
thing that he is the best at is also, like, is there a little bit of dancing sometimes? Does he, he's a Libra, man. We're indecisive. I get it. I'm a Libra too. Like, it's, oh, this way, but he has the physical skills to be able to, whichever way he chooses, just like kind of hypnotize these defenders with all of his jukes and jump cuts and head fakes. All of it works together in this controlled chaos. It's a really beautiful symphony, if I can wax poetic for a second, to watch his cyclone of energy on the field.
Yeah.
And again, it's unpredictable and exciting and effective. At least it was at Michigan State.
I remember watching, I think it was TJ Yeldon in college, and thinking the same thing.
Don't count him there.
No. I just meant he was a really good college running back who was like, it looked like people, or Eno Benjamin or somebody like that at Arizona State, where you said it's like, trying to tackle a little pocket of wind or something like that. It's just really hard to do. I mean, he's you're right. I think it's like a rolling ball of knives. Maybe that's a better description of it there, because it's power, it's speed, it's short area quickness, it's everything. Even a bigger issue though than Hall is his receiving ability. His numbers paled in comparison to what Hall did. So again, both are great first and second down runners, but those questions will arise.
And that's the issue for fantasy, right? Everybody plays in some sort of PPR friendly format. Our standard is a half-point PPR. So the question we've learned, right, that just because a player didn't do something in college doesn't mean they can't do it at the next level, but it just means that opportunity and potential ROI is diminished. So it's not his potential as a pass catcher, but we have to go on what we've seen, and there isn't a whole lot of data supporting his immediate impact as a pass catcher.
I agree. Yeah, I think had Wake Forest seen that ability, it would have tried to mine it. Had Michigan State seen something in practice with his ability to catch the football, they would have used it more often. He really was like a true outlet passer, like the dump off if you have to get it to him in the flat or something, occasional screen here and there. That's probably what he's going to be limited to early in his career. But depending on where he lands, maybe you get enough of the first and second down runs and third and short work as well to make it worthwhile and have him still offset that lack of receiving.
So you said you comped him body-wise to Mark Ingram. What about traits-wise?
Yeah, I see like a little bit of Raheem Mostert in him. And I think it was probably because I was a little bit surprised. Maybe I remember seeing Mostert's pro day numbers and being like, whoa, is that the same guy I watched in college? And I think the same was true a little bit with Walker. I kind of assumed that he might be in the low 4.5s, maybe high 4.4 range, but he ran a terrific 40-yard dash, had really good workouts overall. He's just a better athlete than I kind of realized. And I think that probably applies a little bit, athletically speaking, to Mostert. But again, that ability to rip off long runs when it's, in kind of eye-catching fashion too. You're almost shocked at how easily it comes to both of those guys at times. But, injuries and different factors as well. So it wasn't, it's not a perfect comp, but it's sort of a little bit of an athletic quotient, I would say.
I mean, if you're giving me Mark Ingram's size and theoretical durability and Raheem Mostert's traits, his 4.38 speed, then
10th pick in the draft.
It's pretty great.
Yep.
For me, I saw a lot of J.K. Dobbins. I loved J.K. Dobbins coming out.
Me too.
I will say, asterisk to J.K. Dobbins. J.K. Dobbins was one of the best pass protectors in his class. This is not the case for Walker, which we know and we've heard time and time again in fantasy is one of the pitfalls to drafting a rookie, right? Like we talked about it earlier too with Breece Hall. Yep,
absolutely. And that's part of, obviously there's the scouting aspect and there's the fantasy aspect. And when you blend the two together, it's easier to have a little bit of a lesser view of both guys because of that. And of the two, I would probably say Breece Hall would probably be a little bit better suited to step in and be a little bit more dynamic as a pass catcher, just from what I've seen. But, I think at some point, maybe Walker can add that element to his game. You know, similar. I mean, like I mentioned Jonathan Taylor earlier, I think there were people before his final year of college who thought he would never be able to catch the football. He had stone hands and this and that, but he got better at it. And, you know, he's functional at that in the NFL. And that's, for some teams, it's maybe all you need.